All right, guys, we're talking top 7 running backs heading into Fantasy Football Week 8, and there's no relaxation here for the counselor as I continue on with the content here. Now, you may get some wind going here, South Florida. There's some wind, but as you can see here, poolside. Check it out here. Again, no time off for the counselor here as we go through 7 running backs heading into NFL Week 8. We'll talk a little bit about the matchups as well, and there's a couple guys here that wasn't high on going into the season, but I'm not riding them. I'm not saying, hey guys, look at these guys. Look at Austin Eckler. No, I'm not riding them. I'm sticking to my conviction, which are my picks. Now some people say, well, you're wrong about Austin Eckler and Nick Chubb. Yeah, but I'm okay with that because I got Henry, I got Walker, I got other guys that I was high on, and I'm okay. So I'm not too upset about it. So let's talk about the 7 running backs that are the top guys going into NFL Week 8 as of right now. Now again, things could change. It is early in the season still, well, almost mid-season, but still relatively early. But I want to go over these guys, talk a little bit about their matchup. Before I do, guys, head on over to manscaped.com, use code SHOWERLINE20. SHOWERLINE20 will save you guys 20% on anything you guys want. You can see, guys, I'm well groomed here, well trimmed. I use the Lawnmower 4.0, so head on over to manscaped.com, SHOWERLINE20, go treat yourself as well. And also Prize Picks, guys, prizepicks.com. All you do, guys, is you select more or less. It's kind of like over-under, parlay 2 to 5 picks together. And it's playing DFS in a new way. So go head on over to prizepicks.com, use code DFSLION there, and try the game out. Again, you select 2 to 5 picks, over-under, like Josh Jacobs, over-under, right? Whatever his rushing yards stated there. And Derrick Henry, over-under, whatever the stated rushing yards is. You put them together and you play. Easy to win. Use code DFSLION, prizepicks.com. DFSLION will double your first deposit up to $100. And of course, manscaped.com, SHOWERLINE20, save yourself 20%. Amazing products, guys, grooming products, shampoo, everything, body wash, deodorant. Go treat yourself. All right, top running backs heading into Week 8. First one I'm going to say here is Saquon Barkley. Now, he's number 2 in fantasy points right now. I got a ton of notes here as I'm, here vacationing with the family. It's like I still got to make notes because that's important. I don't have my computer in front of me, so I don't have all the statistical data. So I've got the old notepad here. I sat down, made notes for you guys here. Now, Saquon Barkley is number 2 in fantasy points, all right? Number 2 in fantasy points, number 2 in yardage. 4 rushing touchdowns on the season. Had a good consecutive 3 weeks lately. 3 really good consecutive weeks as of late. Past 3 weeks, 17, 18 points, 19 and 20 points past consecutive weeks. So Saquon Barkley continuing to perform on a high level, 5.1 yards per carry. And when you look at fantasy points here, number 2 in fantasy points, 141.6. So Saquon Barkley, in my opinion, is the number 1 fantasy running back. It doesn't have to all be in fantasy points, which Austin Eckler is, but Saquon Barkley is still the number 1 running back, in my opinion, as of right now going into Week 8. Talent, opportunities there, volume. Number 1 in rushing attempts, which is crucial. So I got to give it here to Saquon Barkley as the number 1 running back heading into Week 8. The number 2 running back, and again, I'm okay with him being number 1 in fantasy points because he's played more weeks than everybody else. He's in a bye week this week, but we're talking Austin Eckler with 174.7 fantasy points, guys. That's crazy. 23rd in rushing, though. 5 touchdowns on the ground. Now, listen, 23rd in rushing, so that shows me that he's not a true workhorse running back. Austin Eckler, again, years to wow us, we're not wowed. Lately has picked up. He's on an offense where he is he's a system running back. He is just really in a good situation with, Justin Herbert, where the receivers have been banged up. He's getting the goal line work. He's just been the guy. And again, props to him. It is what it is. But again, we're heading into midseason. We'll see how he does in the second half. But Austin Eckler is the second running back going into Week 8. And he's not a running back that I like, that I'm crazy about. I'm not like, I'm jumping on the Eckler train. I'm not. I'm not like everybody else jumping on the Kenneth Walker train because that's the guy that I told you to draft, going into the season. So I'm not jumping on the train. But Austin Eckler is a guy that you have to give him the props, right? Number 3 here. And by the way, bye week for him. Saquon Barkley's got an easy matchup versus Seattle. Eckler's on bye. The third guy here, who in my opinion is the 3rd running back. I mean, he's number 9 in fantasy points, but Derrick Henry's the guy I'm talking about. Easy matchup versus Houston this week. Probably the easiest matchup versus position. 2nd in rushing attempts, which I like. He's got 5 touchdowns on the ground for 109 fantasy points. Again, putting him 9th in fantasy points amongst running backs. But Derrick Henry, again, a guy that I told you would have a bounce back year, has been consistent every single year. And yeah, I mean, it goes without saying that he's on top there going into week 8. Coming to number 4 here, a guy that I was not high on, and he has some inconsistencies. A couple weeks ago had himself week 6 had himself a bad week. Week 7 kind of redeemed himself. Number 1 in yardage, 8 touchdowns right now. Number 1 in touchdown and rushing yards, guys. This is huge for Nick Chubb. Does have a tougher matchup this week versus Cincinnati, but Nick Chubb, number 4 here, guys, in, I would say, amongst running backs here going into week 8. I'm going to give him number 4 spot, right? But I don't think he'll finish, kind of where he is right now. I think there'll be a decline. Kareem Hunt may get integrated more. That offense keeps changing with the Browns. I don't really trust them. But Nick Chubb here, number 4. Number 5, a big surprise here. I knew that he needs to get paid and incentivized here, but Josh Jacobs, number 3 in rushing right now, guys. 633 yards on the ground, 6 touchdowns. Number 4 in fantasy points. Got a mid-range matchup this week versus New Orleans. Josh Jacobs has really stepped up, and he knows he has to because he wants to get paid and incentivized. But Josh Jacobs, guys, I got to give him number 5 right now going into NFL Week 8 here. Surprised a lot of people. Again, had a lackluster, rookie year, decent. I'm going to say he's been safe the past couple years. Nothing that's like wowed us, but he's pretty, having an underrated season this year. Quietly sitting number 4 in fantasy points. People didn't expect this. I kind of, I saw him maybe finishing top 10, but sitting number 4 8 weeks in or going into week 8 is pretty remarkable. So Josh Jacobs, number 3 in rushing right now, pretty impressive. Number 6, my guy here, and I'm going to talk about Kenneth Walker here. He's got a matchup versus the Giants. It's an easy matchup again this week, averaging 6.1 yards per carry on the season. And again, people were on the Rashad Penny train. Everyone's like, Rashad Penny. He had a good end of last season. Get Rashad Penny. And I was like, no, I mean, I don't like Rashad Penny. Years to wow us were not wowed. Historically, you can see that Rashad Penny wasn't going to get it done. So, I was like, Kenneth Walker, get him in the 5th round. He's going to be the guy. They drafted him in the 2nd round. They obviously believe in him. And, 4 touchdowns, 410 yards right now, 75 total. He's sitting 21st in fantasy points amongst running backs in PPR. And by the way, I'm talking PPR amongst all these running backs here. And again, he didn't get started till later. But now he's in the groove, averaging, like I said, 6.1 yards per carry. Walker is taking over here. And the funny thing is, everybody's riding the Walker train. And I warned against this. I said, don't get Rashad Penny. Kenneth Walker's the guy. And sure enough, guys, Kenneth Walker has stepped up. My guy. And again, everyone's riding him now, saying, I told you, Kenneth Walker. Listen, I was wrong about Eckler so far, but I'm not riding the Eckler train. I'm good. I got Saquon, I got Henry, I got Walker, I got Dameon. I'm good, right? Whereas these guys are like, oh, well, Kenneth Walker's the best. Well, why didn't you talk about it before the season? There's no documentation of everybody or anybody praising Kenneth Walker prior to the season. So he's coming at number 6 here amongst running backs here in my rankings going into week 8. And number 7 here, I got to give it to Dameon Pierce. 504 rushing yards already, 4.8 yards per carry. 17 receptions for 82 yards, getting it done in the receiving game as well. Got a tougher matchup versus Tennessee, arguably the 6th hardest versus position. Again, number 5 in rushing. This is a rookie that nobody talked about, was sitting 60th, 70th on the rankings going into the season. So Dameon Pierce, absolutely love him this season. Tons of upside, guys, for Dameon Pierce, a guy that is a focal point of the Texans offense. So there you have it, guys. 7 running backs, top 7 running backs going into week 8. We got Saquon, Eckler was on bye week. Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, Josh Jacobs, Kenneth Walker, and Dameon Pierce. 7 running backs that I love going into NFL week 8. And again, it is very early, and this shows you guys robust or bust because wide receivers are very inconsistent. A lot of injuries. Jamar Chase banged up. He's going to be missing a lot of time. A lot of inconsistencies at the wide receiver position, but those running backs, again, very hard to get. We see Breece Hall go down with an injury. Very unfortunate. Injuries happen to these running backs, so you want to hang on to those workhorses and pick them out early in drafts. And again, in this case, I was able to get Saquons and Henrys and get my sleepers, which have been breaking out, including Walker and Dameon Pierce. So very, very fortunate. 16 rounders, you know what I'm talking about, all right? So if you're new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe. And of course, guys, hope you enjoyed the show. And head over to manscaped.com, showerline20, go treat yourself. Appreciate you guys. I got to go back to the beach. I'm out.